Welcome to Life in Sirens, Behind and on the Scene, a podcast by first responders. We're your hosts, Sophie,
Jamie,
and Aubrey.
The content provided in this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. The views and opinions expressed by the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policies or positions of any medical institutions, emergency medical services, or healthcare organizations. Patient privacy is a top priority, and all discussions involving real-world emergency situations are de-identified and altered to ensure confidentiality. Always consult with a qualified healthcare professional or your local EMS protocols before making any decisions regarding patient care or medical practices. Listener discretion is advised, as some topics may include discussions of real-world emergency situations.
Welcome to another episode of Life in Sirens. Today we're going to be talking about things that I wish I knew as a new medic. Before we get into the episode, I am just going to plug our new website that is up and running. It's lifeinsirens.com. You can listen to the podcast. We have a listener submission tab, so if you guys have any crazy stories that you would like to tell us, that can be featured on an episode. And we also have a whole blog section, so we'll do like recaps of episodes that we've done on here, and then also just some random fun things.
Yeah, and coming soon, we're going to have some PDFs that you can print out for references and things like that, and some things that Hippie Paramedic, aka Aubrey, has created, so be on the lookout.
Be on the lookout, that's all we're saying. But for now, let's get into the episode.
I do have one more thing to say.
Let's
Is
hear
that blood on your shoe?
right here?
Yes.
No, it's
Oh, you're
just a drink, like a
I was going to say
seltzer.
you're having a really hard time trying to figure out what that is.
Trying to
It's,
figure out if you cleaned
it's,
it all up or not.
It does look just like blood.
After you murdered someone.
Like, it looks like when blood gets, like, old on fabric.
You know, I think it's just because it's leather. I swear it's just like a seltzer.
Okay, alright.
But I have been meaning to figure out how to clean these. For reference, these are, we're talking about my Birks, not like work shoes, so it would be very alarming that there's blood on here. I don't think it's blood. Actually, I think it's salsa.
Oh, that makes way more sense.
I will
for
say,
you.
I only know this because I have blood on my Birks.
Oh man.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Do you care to tell why?
Honestly, I am not sure.
Okay, see, that's more alarming than the truth, probably.
I know
Yeah.
that it came off my leg when we were camping. It was actually when all of us were together.
Oh.
Oh. Well, that actually makes more sense. We do get caught on
Yeah.
thistles and things.
I don't know what I hurt myself on, but
Yeah.
there's one.
But it makes more sense for you to have salsa on your shoe.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
That's on brand.
Yeah.
It's one of
That checks
Aubrey's
out.
comfort foods.
It
Love
is on the
salsa.
table in front of us currently,
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep, salsa and other dips.
And dips.
which she needed a lot when she became a new medic.
Yes, I did.
She did.
Lots of comfort food. So, let's talk about it.
Let's dive in. So, things I wish I knew as a new medic. One big thing that I wish I would have known is that you don't have to know everything right away, and that everybody really feels that way, because I have this huge fear of, like, people thinking I'm stupid, and so not knowing things really drives me crazy, which is why we were, like, master Googlers. But it's really okay when you're new and ever, honestly, to just be like, I don't know that answer. Let me double check, or let me use a reference or a resource. You don't have to know everything, because if you don't admit that you don't, then you're going to be like kind of dangerous.
I always say to people, you cannot possibly know everything about everything at one given time. Use your resources. It's okay. And if you don't know, then you can always call the doctor.
For sure.
Mhm.
The only time that you need to pull all of the information out of just your brain is in a testing scenario.
Yeah.
Like when you are on a truck, use any and every resource you have. Use other providers. Use phone a friend. You know, when you don't know something, that's okay.
I
Absolutely.
can't tell you how many phone calls I made to Austin Better when I became a new medic, and I may not have even been at this county. I was at other places. And now it actually has happened to me a few times where new medics have called me. So trust me, it feels good to be phoned as the friend. So just do it.
It does. It's a bummer when you don't have an answer for them, but
But you can provide moral support.
you'll say,
Yes,
hang
you
on,
can.
let me ChatGPT that right quick.
We're both in the same boat.
I think Chris Smith says this the best way, and we have got to get this man on the show and let him speak for himself. But until then, I will speak for him. He always says that once you get your paramedic license, really all that is a license to learn.
Oh, yeah, he does
Um,
say that. It's
yeah.
cute.
It is cute, and that's perfect because the amount of knowledge that you come out of medic school is not enough to provide for every single patient that we encounter, because you are going to encounter a plethora of patients and a plethora of disease pathologies that you have never even heard of, and that is okay.
For sure. Think of all of the specialties that people go see. You see all of those patients.
Yes.
So these obscure off-the-wall specialists that we have no idea exist, you get a patient that sees them.
Like, how many times have you been to somebody and they're like, I have this fill-in-the-blank obscure disease, and they say, are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
It is okay to say, no, I am not, because they know way more about it than you could possibly
And
know, I
honestly,
promise.
I think this actually happens a lot. It might be, like, dependent on where you serve, like, what area of the, like, demographic. We are in the suburbs of Nashville, so a lot of people move here to see specialists. So, like, I feel like it happens a lot to us.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
sometimes there's patients and their doctors don't even know what's wrong with them, so it's okay.
It is
It's
okay.
Also, I wish somebody would have just told me that, like, obviously we've covered this, like, it is scary sometimes just to not know, but, like, just because you feel scared, I mean, real scared, like the scaredest you've ever felt in your life, doesn't mean you're gonna be bad at this. I was so scared.
Yeah.
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 I was so scared and everything was going wrong. I just mean, like, everyone was dying. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I got all the worst calls possible.
Oh, for sure.
So just
You did.
because you feel sickeningly scared doesn't mean you're going to be bad at it.
And what makes you a good, honestly, what just makes you like a decent human or like a solid human is that you're scared, but you do it anyway. And that is how you become a good medic. You're scared, but you do it anyway.
And it gets better.
Yeah. And the more you do it, the less scared you get. And at some point, you just have like a baseline level of healthy fear.
Yeah.
And
You're not like, I'm going to pass out.
yeah, and it doesn't really go past that. Like we all remember when we were like precepting or like when we first started and came out, and other providers would know like all these home meds,
Oh, yeah.
and they would just be like, oh, this is for this and this is for this and this is for this. And I'm like, no, am I supposed to know that? Like, nobody taught me that. School didn't teach me that. I was like, oh my God. I just thought I was a dum-dum, or like missed that day. I had no idea. And then I realized that you just learn it as you go.
There's
Like,
so much.
Yes, there's so many different ones. There's always new ones, and you just learn it as you go, and you get really familiar with the more common ones. And even that was a moment when I got out of school where I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know that I was dumb in this area, but here we are.
Well,
That's-
you just didn't know it all yet.
Yeah, and then you
And
learn
now
it.
Jamie knows everything.
Not true.
We
now,
call her for help.
Now I just
True.
know. Now I know what I don't know.
Which
I
is
just
half the
still
battle.
don't know what I don't know.
Yeah, only halfway, and then the rest of it I don't know that I don't know. So
Yeah. Well, I think you'll also get to a point where you're starting like those home meds, like a firefighter that's newer or not familiar with these meds, or like your EMT partner will be like, "What is this?" And then you'll just know it and you'll be like, "How did
Mm-hmm. It just comes out sometimes, and you're like, whoa,
I know? Look at me.
where did that come
So
from?
cool.
Hand me my cap and gown."
Speaking of you having a lot of knowledge and how that benefits all of us, another good point to make is that your partner can make or break your shift. So coming out of school, choose your partner very wisely.
Yes.
Also, don't just go double medic because you think it's going to be easier. Sometimes it is so much harder.
Yeah, that is true.
Absolutely. When Obbs and I first became partners, I was a medic and she was an EMT. And then she went to school and got her medic. And we had like a 6-month adjustment period where we both had to figure out how to exist in our new roles. And we're like pretty good communicators. We're good partners. And it took us a minute and lots of like serious conversations of like, hey, you did this on the scene and I didn't like that. Or conversations with me being like a bit overbearing and not like a bit super overbearing, and not like letting her like be a medic and like learn. And we had to figure that out a lot. And then you picked up a bunch of overtime to like spread your little wings.
It does help. I highly encourage that. I got a whole nother full-time job when I got out of paramedic school.
Oh yeah, and you like
Learned so
did some
I mean,
out
I
there.
can't even tell you how helpful that was. If you're urban, try to get a part-time gig if it's accessible to you. That's rural. If you're rural, try to get a part-time gig that's more urban or suburban. Like, it will help you a lot.
Absolutely. You'll learn a lot. And if you have a choice, choose the busy station, choose the EMT partner. Like, throw yourself in there and start learning.
Do things scared. That's okay.
Yeah. Do things scared. It's totally fine. And then make sure that you, like, have your people.
Yeah, and good
Yeah.
partners will teach you. I mean, I don't even care if it's an EMT. They will teach you, and bad partners will test you. Like, every part of you, and I don't even mean, like...
Medically,
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
like...
yeah.
emotionally.
You can burn out so
Patience.
fast because your brain's already, like, so full trying to learn how to be a new medic. Plus,
Mhm.
you just have someone that you're having to, like, make sure that they're not being terrible to patients, terrible to you. Like, they might be going rogue. I don't know. There's just, like, a lot to keep up with. So just have somebody that can support you.
Yes. You want a partner that wants to be a team with you. That wants
Yes.
to be a part of your team. And if you have a partner that they want to be them and they want you to be you and you're like engaging separately,
Right.
that is not the move. You want
Yeah.
a partner that wants to be your team. And it really honestly does not matter their licensure. As long as you are there for each other and they want to support you and you want to support them, that's going to be what makes a good partnership. And licensure falls in naturally there. But don't pick somebody because you think that they're like just another medic, or maybe you like think that they're a great medic, but you don't know if you guys like jive personality wise. Pick somebody that you trust. Really, that's honestly
If you have any say in
that's
it.
it. If you have a choice, pick someone you trust.
I think you should say that again. Licensure does not matter.
No.
It is about a
Absolutely.
team effort. Or what is the word?
It
I'm
is
looking for?
we.
Team
Group.
teamship?
Partnership? Aubrey just hit her head on a shelf. Did it? Did it ring a bell?
Yeah. Did you knock it in there? Or?
It is about partnership.
Teamship.
Teamship?
Anyway,
Man, that was
find
rough.
someone
All
who
right.
can be on your teamship.
And even if they can't
Oh
speak
my
well,
God.
that's okay.
You know,
It's okay.
that's why I have James. She speaks for me.
see where some of us succeed,
And some
exceed.
Don't
Anyway,
start now.
I can say words, and Aubrey taught herself how to read, so here we are.
I
Yeah.
am not hooked on phonics.
well, there's still time.
Still time.
Well, I will say, like, my partner, she is an EMT, and I mean, I am so lucky. Whew, I've had some bad partners. Let's be real. I've had some bad partners, but I'm so lucky. And everything we do, like, I didn't realize this until, because we're mostly together. It's very rare that she's been gone for as many shifts as she's been gone. Ashley, come back to me. But Ashley's been gone for several shifts, and I forgot how, like, symbiotic our partnership was, because, and as a medic, I don't just, like, do the medic things. I'm not just gonna, like, sit there on my computer and, like, Ashley's gonna do all the things, but, like, we would naturally, like, coexist and, like, do things for the other person. Like, I might get the line this time, she might draw up the Zofran, she might put them on the monitor this time, like, maybe she's putting them in the computer. Like, I don't know what's happening there, but it's happening, and it's happening so well. And that is because we just trust each other with everything. And I think that's what you guys, Jamie and Aubrey, have. Like, just like, I don't care how good you think you are, how good you think the other person is. If you guys cannot trust each other, talk to each other literally about anything, then you probably don't need to be partners.
Yeah. Find your flow. Find somebody that you can flow with and that you can, like, kind of fall into whatever pattern they're in that moment.
Yeah.
So, like, if I get in the truck and it's my call, but Aubrey's already typing on the computer, it's probably because she's gotten their information already.
Yeah.
And so she's putting them in. So I will go and do the next most important thing that I think needs to get done, whether that's a line or monitor or whatever it is. And then when she's done doing that, she'll look up and see where I am and then do the other things.
Yeah.
It is weird when you don't work with your partner that you're very used to and you end up with somebody else and they just look at you
Like, what the
for
frick do you want me
direction.
to do?
Yeah, like, what do you want? And I'm like, oh.
Just whatever I'm not doing, obviously.
Yeah, the things. I was just saying
Read the vibes.
the things.
Yeah. Poor
And-
Kyle.
They'll just look at me again and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
I would like the monitor and a 12 lead, and because I forget you have to tell people you want a 12 lead because so many medics don't do that. That they'll be like, do you want to put them on the leads? I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
clearly they're like septic, and they'll be like, okay, do you want a 12 lead for that? I'm like,
I'm like,
oh,
they're
yeah,
already on the monitor, obviously.
yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Why not,
It
man?
is super weird. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
felt
just-
really bad for Kyle last shift, which Kyle's a great EMT at our service. He's wonderful. He was so great. But I felt bad because some of the calls, like, I would, like, grab the computer, and then sometimes I'd be like, oh, I'm going to get a line. And he's probably like, is this ALS? Does she want this to be BLS? Like, I don't even know because she's, like, wearing 54 different hats.
Yeah, where do I go?
I apologize, Kyle, but that's just, like, it's good chaotic flow. I don't know
Mhm.
how else to describe it, but it was like that with me in Austin, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, wherever you found him, you just did
Yeah.
what was the most natural opposite thing of that.
Yeah.
And you and Ashley have a good flow with just like your existence at the station, like in station life.
We're crazy.
Like y'all, you want to do the same things throughout the day. Like you have a routine. Like you get coffee in the morning. Like it just fits so well. And you don't really have to talk about that either. You'll just both look at each other and be like, yep, it's time.
Yes, it is. Honestly, I would love someone to, like, I've never had a relationship with anybody like I have with Ashley.
Yeah.
Like, I would love someone to just follow us around with a camera. Our poor students are probably like,
What is happening?
What is going on up there?
And there's only like fragmented sentences spoken unless they're chatting about something.
Yeah.
But like when they're going to do things, it's very like half sentences. And y'all are just like, yep.
We are the same exact
Uh-huh.
kind of neurodivergent.
And
Or
then-
maybe not. Maybe we're like the perfect complementary.
The perfect combo, yeah. And then Oz and I will look at each other and be like, where are they going? And we're like, I don't know.
Either
to
Hobby
get
Lobby,
coffee,
the graveyard, or
or-
coffee.
yep.
We, like, see, we're the same. We're the same type of crazy.
It's wonderful.
It
It
is
is
wonderful.
It is wonderful to watch
Well, you can always track us. We're probably...
That's why we have y'all's locations. So we can.
because you just never
See where
know
we're
what
at.
they're getting into.
You do not.
Graveyard, Hobby Lobby, Seven Brew. I mean, it's usually the
Yeah.
same things. It just maybe it's a different
It's
order.
different order. Yeah.
Yeah. So this one does not have a very smooth transition. But another thing that I wish I would have known as a new medic was that not every call is going to be a save, and that's okay.
I don't know how many of you guys have ESO or have a program. It's also like this an image trend, but you have to put if they improved, they were unchanged, or they were worse on arrival. I remember the first time I had to put worse,
Mhm.
and
Me
I
too.
felt like I had failed.
Yep. The first time I clicked the worst box, I was like, well, that's not my job. Like, I just didn't do my job.
Yep, that's exactly
Because
how
it's
I
supposed
felt.
to be improved.
I felt like a failure.
Yeah, and sometimes the like etiology of their disease pattern is just that far gone, and like nothing you do is going to make an improvement. Sometimes they refuse.
Yeah,
Sometimes
that
they're
is
like,
true.
don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that is wild when that happens, because you're like, oh, I'm going to get this line on you, and we're going to give you these meds, and
No.
you'll feel better. And they say no. And I'm like, oh,
What did you call me?
what is going on? But I didn't realize until after I clicked the worst button. I talked to Austin, and I was like, I think that I did a really bad job on that call. And he was like, no, Jim, you did great. And I was like, they're worse. And he said, yeah, a lot of times they are. And I was like,
Why would you say that?
oh my God.
Yeah,
But he's right. Like, sometimes it just,
It
they
is.
just don't,
It is, yeah.
you know?
And we talk about this a lot as a group, is that you should never, I think it's so dumb when people compare war stories and like, you've never done that? Okay, EMS is quite literally luck of the draw.
Yep.
Like, we're all just, all of our units, our medic units, are just in a bingo ball and they're just rolling it out, and who's going to get the call? That's literally what happens. So, like, there's people who have done 15 childbirths and some who make their career without. Okay, some people will just get sicker patients that you can't fix.
For
so
sure.
if you have a string of them, it's probably not you.
Yeah, sometimes it's just the call. As long as you're making sure that you are staying up to date on your education, that you are, like, using your license as a license to learn, like Chris Smith would say.
Yeah.
You're compassionate and you're just doing everything to the best of your ability that day, then it's probably not you. And this is, I don't even want to say it because it's so hard to do, but like, try not to take these outcomes personally.
Yeah, we all do a little bit.
We
at
all
least.
do, but sometimes it's just not something that you can fix. Like some patients, which this is something I had to learn, that some patients don't want help.
Yeah.
Like, it is so weird to encounter a person that is like, no, I don't want help. Shoo shoo. And that's very strange. Sometimes people just don't want your help, and then sometimes they can't be helped. Sometimes you are so beyond, like, past the curve
Yeah.
that there is no fixing.
And I think because our job is fixing, that's all we learn how to do is fix. And that's, a lot of us, whether we did it intentionally or not, picked this job because we needed to fix something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to learn that that's just sometimes beyond our reach is very hard and sometimes not always done, even though we know we all are talking about this right now and we're very aware of it. Like, sometimes it will still eat you up, and you gotta make sure you keep those emotions in check because you'll burn out so fast.
Oh yeah, this is definitely a do as I say, not as I do situation.
Yeah,
Because Obs and I will get back in the truck and I'll be like, that was trash.
I'm trash. We're all
Everything's
trash.
We're trash. And she's like, Jane, what? And I'm like, that IV took me 5 seconds longer than it should have. I did not
I
do
got a drop of blood on the floor.
right. I didn't do X, Y, and Z right. Even though they didn't desat below 90, they still desatted to 92, and that's unacceptable. And like, it would just be, and she's like,
Are you okay?
you're probably being a little crazy right now. But those are the moments where I'm doing exactly what we're saying not to do.
Yeah.
You take it personally sometimes.
I think it's hard not to, because generally the people who are good at this job are empathetic, and when you can relate too closely to things that you know nothing about, it can hurt you.
Yeah. I also think this is important to talk about in the realm of being a new medic, because all throughout medic school, you're learning all the algorithms, you're learning all the toxidromes, you're learning all of the things, and you get out there and you see these patients in real life and you're like, good, got it. I'm going to do step A, B, C, and D, and it's going to get better because that's what I've done in school, and that's what's going to happen. And then you do all these steps, and it doesn't get better, and medical school was a lie. It wasn't, but it feels like that.
It was a little bit of a lie.
A little bit.
It's a little bit of a
Yeah.
lie, but
I've never one
more
time
on
had a
that later.
patient who ate too many legumes and ended up hyperkalemic.
That is
Not yet.
true.
Chad.
Chatty daddy.
But
Right.
maybe
But,
Chad
like,
did, and that's why he's
Obs and
telling you
I-
about it.
Obs and I just had a patient that was AFib RVR. He was hypotensive. He was pale, diaphoretic. I mean, he looked terrible, but he also had a bleeding ulcer. He was chronically anemic. And so he was anemic at like their last blood draw. There was a lot going on. He was really warm to the touch. So like sepsis was kind of on the radar. There was a lot going on in that moment of, it was like a chicken or the egg kind of call. Did AFib with RVR cause his hypotension, diaphoresis, XYZ, or was his like volume status and already kind of stressed metabolic state causing the RVR? And we had a medic student with us who works with us, who's a wonderful, sweet man. But he
is a wonderful, sweet man.
yes, he is. He was just like, what just happened? Because we were having this conversation in the truck.
Probably
And-
not in complete sentences.
Yes. And it was very much, and I was like really broke it down with him. And by the end of that conversation, we just kind of looked at him and we were like, oh yeah, bud, sometimes that can be two. Like sometimes it's more than one thing. Sometimes you don't know which one came first. Sometimes like you just don't know what caused what. Said sometimes it's two.
Yeah,
And he just looked at us like, oh my God. I was like, oh yeah. There can be so many things wrong with people at the same time.
Oh yeah, you know, like when they make maps and it's like the clear sheet of paper over like the
Oh, yeah.
infrastructure. That's medic school, that's paramedicine, but with algorithms. Sometimes you just have to lay them all on top of
yeah,
each other.
sometimes there's just not one protocol that you can map out for that
Right.
patient.
And that's like the puzzle part of this job that we think is so cool, that like that man at face value was symptomatic AFib RVR. And treating that rate could have been justified in that algorithm. But once you know the whole context, then you realize that,
That was a very bad idea.
yeah, there's actually so much going on. Treating the rate actually might not be the answer. Now, it might be, but it might not be.
Not yet.
And there's a lot more things that need to be tested and looked at before we make that decision. So yeah, those are weird moments that are kind of a fun puzzle to put together.
Speaking of multiple algorithms at one time, EMS, the job, isn't your whole identity. And I think that
Yeah.
it can become your whole identity, especially when you're a new medic, because we do those things like pick up the shifts, and we'd recommend that, but like, it's all consuming because it's so exhausting, I suppose, and it takes 110% of your effort.
Yeah.
So I think our next segment was we're going to discuss some of the boundaries we can set for ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's easy to say yes to every swap or overtime shift. And when you're trying to prove yourself, it's really easy to do that.
Yeah.
But
I agree. I think that that's exactly what I did. It actually happened before I got out of school.
mhm.
Like but we were on 24/48s, and we were working. We did not have a single day off, and if we did, it was like a part of a day, and it was just like exhausting. And I think after you get out of school, you have all this blank space, which is actually really good for you because you need to recharge. But because you've been programmed for a year or more to fill up every single bit of your time and space with EMS, you continue to do that. But now you're not just a medic student, you're a medic, and it's no one's coming. It's you.
Yeah. The first time you look up and you're like, ooh, I need an adult. And then
You're
you
like, I
realize
am the grown-up.
that you're the adult. I mean, that still happens to
Yeah.
me.
Oh man, we need
I'll
some
look up,
help.
especially when I'm in
need some
like a
help.
white shirt.
Oh yeah.
Because like on
You're
the
right.
truck, I'll be like, I need an adult. I look up, Austin's there, Wendy's there, Johnny's there. One of them are there. And then, but when I'm in the white shirt, then I'm like, oh, we need an adult. And I look up.
And there's just a mirror.
I'm not. I mean,
and there's just a fireman.
sometimes even in rural EMS, you might not even have that.
Yeah, a
For a
lot of
long time.
times your supervisor's 45 minutes away.
Yeah. Most
So-
of this country works rural EMS.
Yeah. And it's just you.
It is just you, and
Mm-hmm.
you've got this. But like,
Yeah.
that's really easy to burn out on because you're in this like fight or flight almost all day, every day. And if you keep picking up the shifts, you have literally no time to recharge. I absolutely did it, and it makes you kind of hate what you're doing. You question like, why the heck did I even choose to do this? Why did I go to paramedic school? Which you may ask yourself anyway, but it's gonna be a more frequent question when you have no time to breathe, and something that it honestly took all of us kind of a long time to learn.
Mm-hmm.
We would still go on trips and things like that, and actually when our license posted when we were on a backpacking trip, some
Yeah.
of us, but like EMS is a lifestyle, but don't make it your identity,
Yeah. And it's tough not to because your best friends end up being at your job
and that's okay. That is
all
okay.
things. But make sure y'all have something else that,
Yeah.
drives you, makes you happy. You mentioned rural EMS earlier, and I feel like urban EMS gets like the voice. Like that's who you hear from the most.
Yeah.
And we are half and half kind of in our service. But I feel like urban EMS gets the voice. But like if you work like truly rural EMS, like
Hour
That's
or longer.
bad.
Yeah.
Like if you work truly rural EMS, like y'all are out there doing things that I have never had to do in my career. I was at a really or more rural service more recently, and they were telling us a story about the girl that worked a code. She was 6 month brand new medic. She worked a code by herself, 45 minutes out from a hospital. Like had no resources, had no one
was
to
with
contact.
a driver.
Had just a driver. So it was just her and a driver, and she had like it was a mega code,
Mm-hmm.
and she rocked it.
That'll put some hair on your chest.
Yeah.
Let me tell ya.
Like she rocked it. They told us that patient actually had like a decent outcome, like survived in the ICU for like a couple days.
Yeah.
And I just thought about when I was a brand new 6 month medic, never would I ever have thought that I never would have had to do that. And so if you're out there and you're brand new and you're working rural EMS, like you're
Dude.
bad.
And don't ever forget that. And I think sometimes, which it just depends where you go, some of these rural services that I've encountered are absolutely top notch, and they hold the line and they do what needs to be done, and they, have good culture and they're good service and they provide good care. Sometimes that can get lost in those underserved communities where we don't have a lot of EMS personnel, even to work the trucks. Please remember why you started this job. Please remember how hard you worked. And please remember the calls like that, because you are literally saving more lives than probably any city medic could.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I think that really means something.
It absolutely does. That is so cool.
It really is.
So, boundaries. Well, how do you guys actually practically set boundaries with work?
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be honest. This is something I'm still working on. I have done a really good job we've heard, if you follow me on my pages, you've probably heard me talk about this plenty, and that's quiet quitting. And that is something I did. At my full-time ground job, I quit everything. I just go to work, and I go home, which I go to work and I hang out with my best friends, and like I don't just go to work and like hide in my room, but like I go to work. I stopped doing all the crazy extra stuff, the overextending myself, because it just was not rewarding to me, and it was costing me so much. Do I still overextend myself? Absolutely, yes ma'am, I do. I just do it in ways that, like, are more beneficial to me.
Yeah,
And
you've chosen. The extension is still the same,
Yeah.
but it's more fulfilling for you.
Yeah, if not more, honestly.
Yeah.
But, like,
I think you're more overextended
Yeah.
now, but it's with things that you truly enjoy.
the point is, you can burn out doing things you love. Just
Yeah.
remember that. Just because you love this doesn't mean it's not exhausting.
Yeah, you gotta take care of yourself, which
Yeah.
we are also bad at.
And I've been begging these freaking weirdos for months to take a trip. Because the last time we went on a trip was Halloween.
Yeah, it was a long time
Yeah,
ago.
we do need to get it
Now that
together.
it's warm outside,
Okay.
I'm feeling the motivation
Yes,
to
we
do it.
decided, Obs and I had a little chit chat, and we decided that we are not going to overextend ourselves in our full-time capacity this summer. Summertime is not going to be the time for excessive responsibility taking on.
Yeah, this last summer was lame as hell.
Yes, it was. We
Yeah.
did too much, and we are not doing that this summer.
No.
We're taking this summer off.
Yes, so that's our boundary. We're still going to do like the podcast and the things that we like truly enjoy, but like the tedious for free things that we do, that kind of we enjoy them because they set our service up for success, but sometimes they're also pretty exhausting.
Yeah.
And those are the things that we're taking a break from this summer.
How do you know when you're burning out?
For me, it's all about my interactions with others, whether it be like coworkers or family or patients. If I get to the point where I am like irritable about people's existence, I know I have overdone it in some
Yeah.
realm, and usually
I
it
think
is
that's most
work.
of us.
Yeah. I am big on the vibes. If anybody knows me, they know that. I am pretty self-aware in the fact that, like, I know when I have the energy to, like, pick up an overtime shift or whatever. But I'm also pretty good at knowing, like, I am mentally not in a fantastic place right now, so I need to cool it. I need to lay low for a minute.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of how I balance that. I think one of the biggest motivators for me is, and this is something that I have really, it's taken me a minute. I'm about a year and a half into having my medic license, and this is something that I think I've just really learned over this past month, honestly, is that if you are going to be a voice for other people, which being a paramedic is that, you have to be a voice for other people. You have to be a voice that can be heard, right? If you are irritable and you are pissed off that people aren't listening to you and you're coming at people hot, nobody's going to listen to that. If you are not in a place where you cannot communicate effectively, your patients are depending on that. And it's kind of my marker.
Yeah,
That's
I had
good.
to learn that somewhere. I think I've actually had to learn it a lot of times.
That's okay.
Because I would get frustrated, and like volume was my, like, you're going to listen to me now because I'm the loudest person in the room right now. And I realized that one, all that did is it made other responders and providers not want to like participate in whatever it is you're yelling at them to do. It also like scared the patients. So it was not the answer. Now I am still,
Also scared my patient.
it did. Now I'm still like assertive. I still very much like am clear and concise on what I need and what I want from other providers and responders on scene, but it is consistent.
Yeah.
It is a consistent volume. It is a consistent tone. You will run the same call with me 5 times, and I will do it the same way 5 times. And I think that has become like such a game changer that now I'm heard way better than when I was much louder.
Yeah.
But as far as burnout goes, I don't think I do know. I think y'all tell me.
Hee hee hee.
Yeah, like so.
James, something
Honestly,
is wrong.
yeah. Recently, Soph has been like, James,
I
You
have
good?
been like, I had to apologize to her because I was like, I'm sorry that I've been insisting something's wrong with you.
you're like, are you good? And honestly, yeah, like I am good, but I think that I was bridging burnout because I was crabby at work. I used to be like, that patient was such a sweet baby, cute little angel, and that sweet little mama was so cute. And now I'm just like, ugh, granny.
Yeah.
Like, it was kind of that, where people's existence was irritating me. And honestly, I haven't really changed anything but my tude. And I feel like last shift was much better, and I feel like it's kind of, like, improving.
Sometimes you don't have to change anything, but just
Yeah.
like recenter yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just a
sometimes you just
perspective
Get
shift.
stuck in, like, a crabby cycle.
Yeah.
But if you have people around you, like, I need these humans to be like, hey,
I
you
also
seem
need people.
like something's up. And it may take a couple times for me to be like, maybe there is something up. But I'm not going to really recognize it myself. I'm not good at that.
I am really bad at being like, oh, you've done way too much this evening.
Mm-hmm.
You've had 14 conference calls and 32 Zoom meetings.
You find yourself staring at a wall, and you're like, why do I feel this way?
Yeah, a lot of times the people that love me have to be like, are we going to do things that are enjoyable? I don't know. So sometimes it does just take someone else, and that's okay. Just surround yourself with people who give a damn.
Mm-hmm. Our last one is, well, not really our last one, but on our little list here is trust your gut.
If you can't trust your gut about yourself, I bet you can trust your gut about your patients.
Yes, it is a,
Spidey sense.
it is a paramedic spidey sense.
It's so real. Remember
There-
that call? Or it was like the last shift I was with Ashley, and I was like, something bad is gonna happen. And we had the most boring day ever when we got in bed, and I said, Ashley, something bad's gonna happen. And then we got that call. That was that STEMI. It was really
Yeah.
bad. It was bad.
Mm-hmm.
You did. You have like definite Spidey juju. You remember? You know how Austin has like AAA Spidey juju.
Mm-hmm.
He's like never missed a AAA. He's always just been like, this one's it.
Yeah, some people just have their one thing.
Yeah, like my back is just kind of hurting, and he's like, AAA.
You're about to die, sir.
Yep. Austin has like an us Spidey sense. He calls us the girls, which if anybody else does that,
Don't call us
don't do that.
unless we tell you to.
But he's precious, and it's like his thing, and he calls us the girls, and he just knows like when we're in danger. It is an
Mhm.
odd thing, but Obs and I, we went on a fire, and
Standby.
This still is
Yeah.
probably like the biggest Spidey sense I've ever
Yes.
seen in
Mhm.
my life.
Austin and Soph were partners. Aubrey and I went on a fire standby. We do them all the time. We stand by for the fire department just in case anything goes south. Initially, there was no victims reported in the home, and they're just like doing their walk around, their building size up, trying to figure out like what the best approach is.
It's also like 3 in
I
the
was about
morning.
to say that. Yeah.
It was like 3 a.m. Then they were reported that there was victims in the home, but they didn't know how many, and it wasn't confirmed. They just really weren't sure. And Medic 2, at like 3 a.m., Austin and Soph cruise up. And we were like, well, hey, guys, what are you doing here? And they were just, Austin was like, yeah, I just got a really weird feeling about this one. And we said, oh, okay. And so for like another like 15 or so minutes, we all kind of stand around, and y'all pulled the truck down.
Yeah, we had our trucks butt to butt.
Yep, and Soph and Aubrey actually went to go get Medic 2 to bring it down, because at this point we had kind of heard like smatterings of that maybe there's a more reliable source that says there are people in this home. And that call, there were not good outcomes for either, and it was a super prolonged downtime, but that call was such a Spidey sense call.
Absolutely.
There was no reason that we should have had 2 units on that call based off
At
of the
3 in the
information that
morning?
we had at 3 a.m. And if Austin and you wouldn't have been like, something's up, like something's weird, let's go over
It
there.
really
with
would
them.
have been an EMT code.
It would have
Mhm.
been me and Obs with these 2 patients, and
Mhm.
we all know what it's like when fire's on a fire. They're focused on that, and they are not doing EMS things with you.
Yeah.
And it could have been wild, but the Spidey sense, man. So trust your gut. If you think something's wrong, something's wrong. If you think that, if you just really have this vibe that X thing is going on with your patient, even if some like the things aren't supporting it, send it.
Yeah, and honestly, what's the worst that could happen if you advocated for your patient? If
Mhm.
you're wrong, I mean, you at least got them to where they needed to go.
Yeah.
If you're a little more, if you think that it's worse than it was, then that's way better than you doing nothing and being like,
Yeah.
it's just anxiety. You know what I mean?
Right?
Absolutely.
If you get the weird vibes about like, I swear this is a stroke.
Yep.
Like I just feel like it is.
I once flew someone off of vibes.
Yep.
And I was right. By the time they got there, they did have facial droop, but I was like, just trust me.
Yeah.
And luckily they did. You
Yeah.
just have to sometimes it is vibes and you cannot explain it.
Yes.
And I don't think you could even explain this to someone that works in the ER. I
No.
think they do get spidey senses and they have vibes, but there's just something that we have as
Mhm.
providers, and you have it. Even if you think you don't have it as a new medic, you do.
You do.
You know what you're doing more than you think. And it's just like because we have so much less, I think,
Mm-hmm.
to assess with, like you just develop a like, I know this is
Yes. Have you
bad.
ever heard about how like people that lose a sense, their other senses get heightened? Like
exactly.
because we don't have imaging labs, like any like an iStat, like most of us, because we don't have these things, we are absolutely required to dig deeper into every other thing that we do have,
Yeah.
and we use the data that we can collect. And a lot of times we have to surmise things from far less information, but then we also have like the information of the scene and a lot of things that they don't get. And I think that is just I think that's a good explanation as to why sometimes with less we can do more,
Yeah.
because if you know that you can get imaging and you can grab labs and you can like, call a specialist and do XYZ, your assessment skills are going to suffer whether it's conscious or not.
100%. I agree with that with my whole heart. It is just a different kind of medicine that it takes your whole soul, and that's
Mhm.
sometimes why it takes more out of you, I think.
Yeah, 'cause you gotta have the vibes, man.
You have to. It
You
takes
do.
energy.
You do.
Well, that rounds things up for us today. Next episode, we're going to do a Q&A, so even more questions to answer. So if you're just starting out, or even if you've been doing this for a while, remember this. You don't have to know everything on day one. Lean on your partners, give yourself grace, and trust the confidence will come. Some calls will stay with you forever, and others will remind you that it's okay to not have all the answers. Protect your energy, draw your lines, and don't ignore the little voice in your gut. It's usually right. EMS isn't about just medicine, it's about people, including you. Stay curious, stay humble, and keep learning. So thanks for hanging out with us for another episode of Life in Sirens. We'd love to hear the things you wish you knew, so or feel free to send us those either through our socials or through our website, and we will see you guys next time.
This has been Life in Sirens, produced by 3 nerds trying to bring you content that you might actually care about.